All right, everybody, welcome to our virtual lecture for the second quarter here at the Biblical History Center. My name is Emily. I'm the Associate Director, and I will be doing the virtual lectures from now on. It gives me a whole lot of excitement and a whole lot of pride to introduce our wonderful, fabulous, hopefully soon to be, Dr. Erika R. Brown. She's currently she's currently at Lipscomb University getting her PhD in ancient Near Eastern archaeology. And she is going to be talking with us about how archaeology is getting more into the tech side of things with her. She is a YouTuber. She has her own YouTube channel, just so you know, and she educates the public because she is a certified archaeologist. She educates the public with this platform. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Erika, and she is going to talk to us all about this wonderful platform. So Erika, it's all you.
Thank you, Em. Hello, everybody. Can you guys hear me okay? Everyone's okay? Okay, great. No, thank you. Em, I love Em. She's good people. I love her to death. So was so excited when she asked me to do this. So anyway, and just honored to be doing this for the Biblical History Center. I think you guys, it's really cool. I looked up your website and saw all the amazing things you're doing. So this is really a big deal and honor. So I'm really glad to be here. Let me share my screen. Okay. Can't, these are away. Sorry, I can't find my button to present. So sorry. So sorry, I can't see my, there it is. Okay, there we go. Okay, well, like she said, I am going to be talking about Just So You Know, which is my YouTube show or my social media platform. I'm going to talk about how we're bringing archaeology to the public. Just a real quick backstory information. So sorry. Just a moment, having technical difficulties. I'm so sorry. I usually don't have this many technical difficulties. There we go. Stop share. Please forgive me. Working this out. Here we go. Here. Okay. I'm so sorry. Okay. Just a little background information. I am a wife. My husband and I have been married for 20 years. Lonnie and I have two sons. My oldest is 20, he'll be 21 in a couple of weeks. I can't believe it. And my youngest is 16. So I'm trying to learn that my boys are not babies, they are men. So that's been a whole process. But My son's in the Army. My husband and I, I'm not from Texas. I'm in Texas now. I'm not originally from Texas, but got to Texas through the Army. Both of my husband and I served stationed in Fort Hood, but we've been in Texas so long. I feel like we are officially Texans. I feel like that counts. So love it here in Texas. As Emily said, I am a PhD student at Lipscomb University for the Lanier Center for Archaeology. And my journey really starts with years ago, back in 2014, I had got really serious about my faith and decided to get into Bible study. And reading my Bible, I realized there were a lot of things that I did not understand about the culture and history of the Bible. And I literally Googled how to learn about ancient history, ancient culture. And Google told me that that's called archaeology. I did not know that archaeology was a word. So I had to look that up, Googled that, and then Googled how do you learn about archaeology, and the rest is history. I learned about different programs, went and got my undergrad in ancient studies and minored in biblical languages. I got my master's in biblical studies and archaeology with M at Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary. And like I said, now I'm at the Center for Archaeology, and I love it. My research emphasis, I don't talk about this on my platform, but my research emphasis in the family practices or private practices of ancient Israelites, specifically in the Iron Age during the time of the monarchy. So that's looking at from all the way up from Saul, David, them to the divided monarchy. So my research interest is in ancient Israelite practices, but that's not what I talk about on my channel. I've participated in a few projects, archaeological projects. I did the last season at Gezer, at Tel Gezer in Israel, participated at Tel Bernah in Israel. And this past March, I did the, that was awesome. Love that. That was my first time doing that. That's an epigraphic project. So a little different from, little different from excavations. I know you know, so did that. And I also do a lot of lately, and I'll go into this a little bit more, but I do more speaking, specifically more so in churches. Um, and it's by speaking in churches, I've done scholarly lectures. I currently am a part of a school in Chicago, an online program in Chicago, teaching Hebrew 1 and 2 through them. So that's as far as a scholarly context, but most of my speaking and lecturing has been, and that has been very, very interesting. One of the things that kept happening, I would go speak at different churches. And one of the things that would always happen is someone would come up to me and say, oh, I heard this on YouTube, or I heard this on Twitter, or I heard this on Instagram. And I was really starting to think, what is happening? What is going on social media? I did not know that people were getting this much information. And this led me to starting Just So You Know. Just So You Know is a social media project, and it's all about introducing the study of biblical archaeology. So it's an introduction. It's not designed for scholars. It's designed to be an introductory step into the world of biblical archaeology, because I found that most people, and again, I'll talk about this later, most people are going to the internet, social media, to find the information. And so in response to getting that kind of response at churches when I was speaking, I decided to launch Just So You Know. We launched in 2020, but we didn't officially start doing our first videos until 2021. And it's been interesting, to say the least, because the goal has just been to enhance or introduce people to biblical archaeology for the purpose of helping them to understand biblical history and biblical culture. And just since 2021, this is an independent project. So I don't have fancy or fancy backing. So it's been independent. And so with just since 2021, we have been able to garner over 250,000 views across all social platforms. So it's across YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. we've been able to get 10,000 followers and subscribers across all platforms. And what's really exciting is my primary demographic is in an age range of 18 to 45, which is usually a pretty hard demographic to get into next to Gen Z. And I can't speak Gen Z language, so I'm not even trying to get Gen Z, but yeah, our primary demographic has been 18 to 45-year-olds, and really almost 70% of them being female. So it's been real interesting. Somebody out here wants to hear this information, so that's encouraging. Because, and you all at the center will know that there is a challenge to teaching biblical archaeology to the public. When we get down to the nuts and bolts of it, biblical archaeology is really complex, really technical, and taking all of that complex information and technical information and simplifying it to where it's not too watered down, but just enough for people to learn, and putting that out there for the public to digest. So it's really been about finding that right balance of keeping just enough information, but not too much information to keep people engaged, because people have short attention spans. And I think social media is making this worse. I know. Social media is making this worse. People have attention spans. I often tell people, when I make a video, when you put a video on social media, you really have 3 seconds. And I think the numbers went down, but last time I did my research, you have 3 seconds to hold their attention, 3 seconds for them to pause, especially on platforms like TikTok or Instagram. You have 3 seconds. So anyway, that's a challenge to present something as the magnitude of biblical archaeology, trying to get somebody to hold for 3 seconds. Another challenge with biblical archaeology is artifacts. I remember when I first started studying archaeology, the textbooks didn't have a lot of pictures, and there aren't a lot of videos. And so sometimes it could be confusing and difficult to data if there aren't pictures or visuals. And archaeology is very visual. Another challenge has been navigating the religious history. It's a little sensitive because we are dealing with the world of where Judaism, Christianity, and Muslims, we all are coming from the world. So navigating that. And also for me, is, I say maintaining authenticity, but it's really just keeping it real. Trying to keep it real, trying to do all this stuff and keep it real and stay current. That presents a significant challenge. But it's important to keep these things in mind. I know sometimes when I'm talking to other scholars, they don't see the value or the concern, especially when trying to give this information to the public. Necessary. This is a very important work. And so I took different things. I look at all those different complications, and I've decided to meet the people at the mountain, which is one of the reasons I was doing speaking engagements and doing things. Was I really wanted to take people to the mountain. People are not going to come look for scholars unless you're nerds like myself of history. Most people don't love history. Even my own husband. It's so funny. I will tell him things I'm learning, and he's such a wonderful husband. He'll just be like, that's good. Okay. He's just being generically supportive. But my husband's like most people, they're not actively looking for history, and they're definitely not actively looking for biblical history and biblical culture. So I've decided to put it away to meet the people at the mountain, meeting the public at the mountain. And I do this by primarily focusing on light and sound. And I really kind of want to really highlight sight. I love biblical archaeology. I love it so much. And what I like to do is present it in a way that shows how beautiful, and even doing artistry, trying to show this wonderful science, this wonderful data that we deal with, show it in a way that's very aesthetically pleasing and entertaining. And I do this with the artifacts and sites, and I
Erica, I think we lost you.
I'm sorry, I'm back. Is there? I don't know what happened. Okay. I don't know what happened.
I just pick up where you left off.
Okay.
You were talking about the artifacts, the sites, and the animation. So
Okay.
if you can just pick up where you left off and share your screen to that slide, we can get back with the lecture.
Okay, doke. So anyway, I do this, I focus on sight and sound, but I do with to start with artifacts. I really work hard to make sure when I can to get 3D replicas or create 3D replicas of the artifacts that I'm talking about. And this one on the screen is a 3D replica that I had made for the find known as the Megiddo Church or the Megiddo Christian space. And with that one, if you're not familiar with it, it is the floor of a Christian gathering space. They only found the floor. They didn't find any walls. They didn't find anything. It dates to approximately 230 BCE. So it's 230 AD. So it's pre-Constantine. And what's really fascinating is it's a floor. It's got 4 mosaic panels. One of them has the fish in the center. And that's important because we know that fish were a very important symbol for the early Christians because of the word fish in Greek, and also because of the fish parables that Jesus used. But also interesting because on one of the panels, there's 2 inscriptions, and one of those inscriptions mentions how these people view Jesus as a deity. Now, something like this is important to show and highlight. One, it really is good for people, the public, to know that such an artifact exists because it them about Christian history, but also demonstrates that prior to Constantine, there are people who are talking about the deity of Christ. And I don't know if you guys experience this much, but a lot of the people that I deal with are convinced that the deity of Christ or that type of discussion was not something that was not of value until the Nicene Council. Well, finds like this demonstrates no, this was something. The deity of Christ was something that was some Christian circles. This was a Roman space, a Gentile space, what have you. So we have this expression of Christianity pre-Constantine, and this is something that they know about. And having a 3D replica really kind of helps give people visual context, especially because this space mimics more so that of a Roman triclinium, which is, their Roman dining room. So this also helps people with understanding how Christians were using space, how they were coming together to worship. And so having visuals like this is really, really key. And also making sure that people can kind of see, these are all mosaics, by the way, so they can see that they're going into great detail. This is very important. So I work really, really hard to create, when I can. If I can't find 3D visuals, I usually try and have them made. So I have a 3D guy, and he's awesome. I love using him. Also, when we look at sites, one of my biggest headaches too, and M, you could probably attest to this, is when you get archaeology, they talk about sites, but they give you no picture of the site. They give you no video of the site. You may just get a rough drawing of the site, the part that they're excavating, but you get no visual context. You get no really understanding. And again, the public is not going to be diving into the technical part of this. This is, by the way, this is a plan of a Phoenician site. But again, this is so important for people to see. It also helps, the more visual sites we can give them, they can see the scientific processes of it. And that's the goal, is to try and introduce to the world of biblical archaeology using visuals like this of sites. I think seeing something like this will be so helpful, because I think sometimes not seeing the site really, and they don't see the excavation plans, even if we're just showing them a picture, they really go into Indiana Jones mode and think that we're all just putting on haps and whips and digging in some dirt randomly and finding things. Versus no, this, even if we're not verbally saying all the things that we're doing, photos or videos like this helps to demonstrate that there's a process. As you can see, they have the squares marked out. So it's really important to visually communicate to the public how we're doing, how archaeology is working, how archaeologists are getting the data. And also too, I think like this site, this is a Phoenician site. It's important. We know the Phoenicians were really good sailors and marketmen. So this helps them to see, okay, well, they had sites right by the water. And any other sites, when we look at other tales, and we'll see when we're teaching about tales and we show how the site is at the top of a hill, so we can demonstrate that that sites are on, tales are these tall hills, whereas just telling them about it or just teaching them about it or just expecting them to get it from an article, it's really challenging. And I'm saying that from experience. It was hard to not really grasp the data without these visuals. So again, creating things for people to see, for the public to see, even if they're not talking about technical things. I usually work really hard to do that. Animation. Does that sound plain?
Can you repeat that question one more time, Erika?
Is there music playing on that?
Not on my end, no. I can't hear anything. I don't know about everybody else.
Okay.
No?
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. Continue, Erika. Sorry
Okay.
about that.
And so I try animations to help with people having interaction. One, because I like animations. I'm just a animation person, but people are more willing to engage with things with animations because I guess it feels less intimidating. So even providing a context for animation. So for this animation, I had a visual of the Merneptah stela recreated. And one of the things is you'll read about how tall the Merneptah stela is, but you really don't have a really good reference. And so in my animation, I had a myself recreated. I'm 5'3", and I took the height of a basketball player who are about 7 feet. And even then, trying to just compare and show them how large these artifacts can be, just to be able to give them a perspective of the giantness of some of the artifacts, especially like Scylla's and dealing with pharaohs and how they're making different items. And that again, it becomes a great visual aid for teaching them about ancient culture. And it makes it more real. When we put it in there, sometimes because we don't have visuals, we accidentally, I'm gonna make up a word, y'all. Where I'm from, we've been making up words. Mytholize, is that a word? I'm not sure. We accidentally mytholize because we can't see it. But when we have visuals, we can kind of make it more real, not kind of, it becomes more real. It becomes more realistic. We can connect with it. And animations give us an opportunity to make it more real and to put it in more contextualization so people can kind of the size and different things of some of these artifacts. Mm-hmm. Another thing I do is I get really big into sound. I watch a lot of documentaries, and I know a lot of people do. And when they talk about archaeological data, sometimes, and this is just a picky thing, sometimes people have real somber, sad sounding music, and which is confusing me because I love archaeology and I'm reading the data and I'm excited. So wondering sometimes to have opportunities where we can have music. And again, this goes back to what I was talking about earlier, especially on social media. I have 3 seconds to hold someone's attention. So if I can do it through music, if I can do it through visuals, if I can do it through some type of sound to hold them just long enough to I can teach them whatever, or give them information so that they can kind of grasp onto things. I also get into storytelling.
Is fossilized, nailing.
Storytelling to me, one of the things with artifacts is artifacts tell us more about history. They give us information about history that sometimes we don't get from the text. And I think it's important to let artifacts tell their stories. This video is from when I talk about the crucifixion bone of Givat HaMatar. And that bone combination is super huge.
Nail was being driven into the bone
because it really kind of helps us understand the crucifixion of Jesus Christ,
causing the nail to bend and curl.
And so with something like that, it gives us a chance to really kind of contextualize. Again, it tells the story. Now we know the crucifixion story, but a find like this, and it's this find, the crucifixion bone of Givat HaMatar, it dates to the 1st century. So it's right around the time of Christ. So it's important. It gives us a great visual and teaches us. And so now it tells the story of some of the details of the crucifixion that we didn't get. We know that his feet were nailed, but how were they nailed? And so a find like this really kind of paints that picture and letting us know that it was nailed from the side and that it went through the large foot bone. Again, details that we didn't have. So let's tell that story. So one of the things I often try to do is when I present an artifact, I try and tell it from a story. I do have a video where I talk about Genesis 16 with Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar. But I talk about ancient contracts, wherein there are ancient marriage contracts where if the wife cannot conceive, then you offer up a servant. So it's a part of that cultural context. Well, telling you that story helps for people, telling that in a storytelling format really helps for people to grasp the story of Genesis with Abraham, with Sarah, with Hagar. Again, ultimately making it more real and not some distant thing that they can't grasp or see. And lastly, in terms of sound, I am very big on avoiding excessive use of technical or scholarly terms if I don't have to. One of the reasons being that even when I've taught at churches or different spaces, sometimes I engage people who are slightly anti-intellectualism or anti-intellectual. So they're going to tune you out if you're overly technical. Which I don't. I want people to learn. I want people to grasp everything. Also, if you don't have words, then don't use the words. I am not a fan of trying to show off how smart I am to people. Because to me, if I'm so smart and you don't learn, what was the point? Who cares? I would rather speak to the people on their level and give them the information. So sometimes instead of using words like strata or stratums, I'll say layers or levels. I mean, it's just as simple as something like that, just to kind of make it more digestible for the public. Because again, we're talking about bringing this technical information, all of these types of things to the public. So it's about speaking to the public in the public's language. So again, something like strata, I'll say layer or level. Something like Iron Age, I'll say something like during the monarchy or the time of David, Solomon, and the kings. So using expressions like that, and I may even still sometimes use them interchangeably, just to at least introduce a term, to kind of let them connect what the word means. That was another thing that I experienced when I entered into the world of archaeology. There were so many terms that were used and never explained. So sometimes I had to spend half the time defining the term so that I can go back to reading the text so I can understand what was happening. And again, everyone doesn't have that passion for this information. So to reach the public, I try not to use I try not to use technical or scholarly terms excessively. I use them when I have to. So even with terms like terminus terminus post quem, terminus ante quem. I usually say dated before or dated no earlier, dated no later. So breaking it up like that to try and make sure that I can keep people following me so that, because the point is for the public to receive this information. So mostly my work, and like I said, I do speak, but mostly my work is on social media. And you all know this, social media, it started out as just being social, but people don't use social media like that, just like that anymore. They go learn. When we want to learn something, most people I know, I need to learn how to do something, I'm gonna go to YouTube, right? I always joke, I do all my filming and editing, and people ask me, how did you learn how to do that? And I say, I went to YouTube University. Because most people go to YouTube to learn something. If you want to learn how to make a cupcake cake in a dish in a microwave, you go to YouTube. If you want to learn how to sneakers, you go to YouTube or TikTok or whatever. So it's about meeting people at the mountain. So I do social media because that's where people are. I cannot tell you how much people are learning on TikTok. Honestly, TikTok is starting to replace YouTube for people going to trying to learn how to do things. So people aren't going to go look for scholars. The public is not looking for scholars. The public is not going to go out and do encyclopedias anymore. The public is not going to reach for articles. They are not going to do that. They are on social media. And that's where Just So You Know is I do work on social media. And I use multiple platforms. I do not have Twitter on here or X or whatever the new name is. One, because it's just not a nice place to be. I don't know if you all have had any experience with Twitter or X, whichever. It's just a very unkind space. And I don't need that unkind life. So I don't use Twitter or X because I just hasn't been a pleasant space. However, I do most of my longer things, my longer videos, I try to put them on YouTube because most of the time when people are on YouTube to watch a video, especially about something like biblical archaeology, they're in it for the long haul. You know, it's going to be a longer video. And so even now I'm trying to transition to putting longer and longer videos on YouTube for people that have started to follow and people that are starting to get engaged. For those people who want to learn more, who want more details, I'm starting to put longer videos on YouTube. And this is one of my videos where I go over a detailed timeline, archaeological timeline of the Bible. It's very helpful because, again, sometimes people aren't familiar with how archaeologists are breaking up the data and how they're breaking up the different groups and different topics. So this video has been very useful for helping people understand archaeological terms of data, of timelines of the Bible. So that's really, really interesting. I go into details and I do both the Old Testament and the New. Now, TikTok is very, very interesting. I didn't want to do TikTok at first, but a friend of mine said, you got to go on TikTok. And when I first got on there, she said, I tell you what, just look up biblical archaeology on TikTok and let me know what you think. And I encourage you all to do that. I looked up biblical archaeology on TikTok. And there's two types of crazies happening on TikTok, two types of crazies. You got the very, very anti-Bible crazy, and you got the very, very pro-Bible crazy. They're no one's using data or accurate data, or they're not using the data correctly. And so I talked because I was like, there needs to be some type of scholarly voice on TikTok. And what happened was TikTok, my TikTok information, presented biblical archaeology on TikTok, I do better than I do on YouTube. I get far more interaction with introducing this topic on TikTok. But again, these are shorter videos. I try not to go above a minute. I have done 1 to 2 minutes, maybe 3, but 3 is really, really long for TikTok. But again, what it's doing is generating interest. It's letting people know if I talk about a site, if I talk about museums, if I talk about different artifacts, it's generating interest. Because again, I'm dealing with people who are typically not aware of biblical archaeology being a thing. I was one of those people. I didn't know this was such a thing. So I'm introducing and leading people to more different avenues. So a lot of people get introduced on TikTok and they go over to YouTube or whichever. And so that's been really interesting.
All right, y'all, let's talk about the crucifixion bone.
This video is here where I talk about the crucifixion bone of Finn Stanton.
In 2021,
And it's a really interesting because the crucifixion bone of Finn Stanton was found in 2021 or 22, and it's just like the crucifixion bone of Givat Hafmatar. So very interesting. So I do a short version again of this type of video introducing that, and then also letting them know they can go to the YouTube video to see a longer version of the bone of Hafmatar. Instagram is a lot like TikTok, where same thing. I'm introducing short. I don't even want to lie to y'all. I don't know the difference. Sometimes people are doing both, but I do both because that's social media etiquette, but it's the same type of video, just like on TikTok, where I'm introducing these artifacts to people. And again, on an introductory level to people who have never really had any interaction or experience with archaeology or biblical archaeology at all. And then lastly, I do Facebook. Facebook is more personal. Facebook is more engagement, more dialogue, more conversations. You usually use it something and mostly interact through conversation. But it's a little different. It's not as visually driven, but again, it's still a very important place to have discussions and dialogue about biblical archaeology, especially when we're introducing it to the public in general. So why do I do all this? I said earlier, there's a lot of crazy data out there that's not data. There's organizations or groups that I've dealt with where they're dealing with people who have communicated things to them that is not even real data, and people are doing this. People are falling in line with this. And so one of the things that, just so you know, it does is it's a great tool for helping to correct misinformation. And again, because a lot of times when I engage with people, I will provide sources, I will provide information, because I do want you to know this for yourself. But a lot of correcting misinformation. There's one popular thing that I get in my comment section. You know that the biblical account of Jesus is just a retelling of the Egyptian story Horus. That's what they say. And people will just take that and roll along with it instead of taking the time to see if there's any information to that. I'm currently working on a video where I discuss how there's no data in Egyptology that supports such a claim that says that the story of Christ is the same as the story of Horus is actually contrary. But again, there's misinformation, and people are on social media with this misinformation and replicating this misinformation. So things like, just so you know, that's the goal, is to correct information, to help people understand true data about biblical archaeology in a way that they can understand. Another thing that's been interesting is let people know, especially when I go on a project, again, exposing them to excavations, exposing them to the Gomer excavation. I've had, from my video from when I went to Tel Burna, I had almost 50 people asking me how they can participate in a dig. One, they didn't know that the dig exists. Two, they didn't know that they could participate. Three, they didn't know how they could participate. So again, bringing that information to the public, because a lot of times the public doesn't know that this is an option and that something like this is available. Developing research. I've had people talk about, hey, I wish I'd known that I could get into this type of field. I wish I could known that I could do this type of research. And I'm like, friend, you can. So it's bringing new ideas, new voices, new faces to the table. And this is why we want to get this to the public, because we don't want biblical archaeology to be a dying science. A symposium, the Lanier Center for Archaeology recently did a symposium talking about the state of biblical archaeology. And we had to be honest and real. There is a gap. There is a hole, because the public does not know about biblical archaeology. And if we don't inform them and we don't want more people to be a part of it and let them know how amazing this science is and what it brings, especially to people who are interested in learning about the Bible, the value of biblical archaeology to teaching the world of the Bible, we have to let the public know. And so that's been another benefit to doing Just So You Know on these social media platforms. It's been letting the public know. The Lanier Center for Archaeology has been a growing program. They've got students coming in every semester, whereas there are other programs, same type of programs that are not doing as well. So we communicate this because we do want a future. We do want people to continue studying. We do want people to give us more data because the Bible's an amazing book. I love the Bible. So if we can get as much information about it as possible, we have more people giving us, we've benefited so much from the study of biblical archaeology to our understanding of the Bible. And we want to continue that going. So that's another benefit of presenting biblical archaeology to the public in ways, and especially in doing it in a way that the public can receive that. And also dismantling academic exclusivity. You know, sometimes archaeologists only talk to other archaeologists and give information to archaeologists. And that's weird to me, because if we're just a circle, it goes back to the previous point, only giving the information and sharing with each other. How can we grow? How can others learn as well? It's not a point of just gaining this information just to keep to ourselves. This information is for everyone. Everyone should be a part of this discussion. Everyone should have all. And so, but there's also this narrative makes it all the time. Oh, that's just for y'all. No, that's, but again, that comes from the perception of not meeting people at the places where they are. When I talk to other scholars about being on social media, honey, I can't tell you they turn their nose up like I am an academic. I'm not on social media. I'm like, okay, well, the people are on social media. Like, we don't have to be that high and mighty to where we can't reach the people. And so that's another negative connotation. I'm a scholar, but I'm just like you. You too can read what I read. There's nothing special about what's happening with me. Read along with me so that we can all do that. And that's why we need to be giving this to the public. It's not just for scholars. Biblical archaeology is not just for scholars. And you all at the Historical Center, y'all know that more than anybody. It's not just for scholars, but we've got to get more scholars. Y'all doing the work. So I'm not fussing at y'all, but we've got to get other scholars to be out there engaging the public, and they're not. And it's really sad, but that's been one of the benefits of doing social, Just So You Know, on social media platforms, is it's really getting the public involved and getting them to see that this is not just for the scholars, this is for everybody. So why does this matter? I love archaeology. I really do. And what I have found is that it has made the Bible come alive to me, as a believer. It has made it come alive to me in a way I couldn't have imagined. I said earlier how sometimes, because we don't understand and know the world of the Bible, we mythologize it. And it can be hard because we have to remember that we are so far removed by time. We are so far removed by culture. The world of the Bible comes from Eastern culture. We come from Western culture. We're on a whole other continent. We on separate continents, so even the land is different. So it's hard sometimes to connect those worlds, but biblical archaeology connects those worlds. And the public needs to know that those worlds can be connected. So the problem is this matters because if they don't know, then if you're not aware, if the public doesn't know that biblical archaeology is an option or that it is something they can have access to, they don't know. And again, it causes so much confusion, misconception, doubt, disvalue. And a lot of times people don't value the biblical text, but believe it or not, biblical archaeology adds so much value to the biblical text, and people need to know that. And a lot of times people don't know. Or also, people may know, but they don't care. And they don't care because people aren't actively working to bring it up. And again, that comes from of it just being something for the elites or the scholarly, and that's not the case. So if people don't know and they don't care, we will lose that. We will lose biblical archaeology as a science, as a research. And that's because it's a phenomenal thing. It's such a beautiful study. And I would hate people in generations to come to not have access, not to know that such a world exists. And so that's why this matters. This is why it matters to bring biblical and doing it, bringing it to the public, meeting them at the mountain. I love saying it. I like to meet people at the mountain. And that's been my passion and that's been my drive. So yes, I will work. I will constantly learn. Did a thing where we learned a TikTok dance. But what happened was I did the dance in front of sites. You would be amazed with people learning that's how sites look because they're watching me dance. So it's not beneath me to meet the people at the mountain and do it in a way that they receive. Because we've got to be active to get this to the public. And that's my passion for Just So You Know, is getting this to the public, getting this to the people. Even if you go on my channel, my line is bringing biblical archaeology to the culture. And that's what it's really been all about for me. And so, yeah, really all I had. I didn't know if anyone had any questions or.
So Erika, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So Erika, first of all, thank you so much for an awesome presentation. We're going to open up this last part of the lecture for any Q&A. So if you have any questions for Erika at all, now is the time to ask her any of these questions. So so for those of you that have a question, unmute your mic and ask Erika.
Erika, this is Brenda. Have you been over to do digs? How many digs have you been on? What's your favorite, or when are you going next?
I've been to 2 digs and 1 epigraphic site. So the first one I went to was Tel Gezer in Israel. The second one was Tel Bernah in Israel. Did the Karnak typical Egypt. And wow. I can't pick a favorite because I'm Brenda, I'm a nerd at heart and I love learning. And I learn so much each time. Like, seriously, I'm such a big nerd and I don't know. All of them have been amazing. I learned so much and I'm so excited. Like, I got my little notebook. I keep a little notebook in my purse because I have to stay fabulous. I'm a fabulous nerd, but I keep my little notebook in my purse. M knows she's with me. So I keep it in my purse and I'm like, I can't pick one. I wish I could. I can't.
That was kind of an unfair question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can testify that the purse notebook is a thing. It is a thing.
Smart.
But it's a smart idea. Did anybody else have any other any questions for Erika?
This is Rachel. I put a question in the chat, but I'm very impressed with your videos. And I can tell you put a lot of work into it. Do you have any graphic design background, or you just have kind of picked up on it and gone with it?
Girl, I have no graphic design. I am ancient Near Eastern. I am a book nerd. And when I got into social media, at first, I was just like other scholars. I was all indignant, like, social media, what do I look like? But I'm a nerd. And I was like, I'm gonna learn this so well. So YouTube University. I'm a friend. Templates are my best friends. I will use a template, but no, it's been really, sometimes I take time to watch a video on graphic design and again, what's current, because it's crazy to say this. If you have an old font, people will not respect you if you don't have a current font. You know, it's silly, but again, that's fine. I'll meet you where you're at. If you need me to have a current font, have this one word in current font, that's fine. I want to meet you where you're at. So no, I don't have any background. I just use a lot of templates and do a lot of research on
Yeah.
YouTube University.
Well, it's very impressive.
Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent.
Okay, everyone, I'm checking the chat, and it said, and Penny says, when I was stationed in Bahrain, I got to visit a site excavating burial mounds. Learning about it really didn't prepare for going to the site. So thank you, Penny, for that insight as well.
True. Yeah.
And then Scott also posted, he said, seems to me that Jesus talked to people in ways that they would be able to grasp, as opposed to some kind of complicated theological argument. It's always best to meet folks where they are. I think it's cool how you use even subtle things like the skin tone and animation of the crucifixion nail to show how things were more likely to be. Beginning parenthesis, not a lot of blonde white folks in that part of the world at that time, in parenthesis. He's not wrong.
Well, and two things from that. From Jesus, because I did notice that he always spoke in the language of whoever he was talking to.
Yes.
One of the cool things about going to Galilee was seeing the rocky soil. It's rocks in soil. So once I saw that, talks to parable about the soils, I was like, oh my Lord, he is just using the language of the people. The people would have really, when he started talking about the soil, they would have been like, yeah, I get that, because he was using what they knew. So yes, I did borrow that from Jesus. Shout out, he knows the stuff.
We have an exhibit of that at the Biblical History Center. We actually have an exhibit of the different soil types at the History Center.
Y'all own it. I'm saying this is, I'm preaching to the choir here, but it's yeah. And also the cross thing. I always hope people will ask me. People use why I had brown foot with pink toenail polish cross in that animation. And I love when people ask me, I do it for conversation purpose, because I want to tell them I'm a believer, and I hope that's okay with everyone. It was supposed to be me on that cross. And I put myself there just for conversation, just trying to be clever and witty.
Very nice. Wow, I like it.
But we do that, and it's so funny. For some reason, scholars are the only ones that don't get it. We do that for our children. We do that for our family members. We do that for everyone. And I think it's important because you want them to get it. The point is not to impress you with my smarts. It's not the point to me. Like, that's fine. But it's more valuable that you learn, whether you know I'm smart or not. That's not the important thing. My smartness is not the important. It's people learning and people taking things, even if they take a small thing. I will never forget my sister, who is not into learning at all. She hit me up. She was just watching my videos to support me, y'all. So this is the context. She calls me. She says, girl, I actually learned something from your video. Why, thank you.
Spoken like only a sister can say it, right?
I actually learned something. But that's the point. Because I'm speaking, and I love people learning without them knowing that they're learning. And part of that happens when we're speaking in their language. It's not an extra formal setting. I mean, and there's a time and place. Please don't get me wrong. You need to have academic conversations. You need academic settings. Yes, we do need to know the technical things. But when we're talking about getting this to the public, again, that's life. That's everything. Let me tell you something. I don't care about cars. You do not have to tell me about start and go and play my music as loud as possible. I don't want the rest. Tell me about my belts and the lines and the gaskets. I'm out. Right?
And it's got to be the right color.
Child, you have to be the right color. In Texas, the air needs to work because, honey. But it's the same thing. So
yes.
if a mechanic sat there and talked to me about my combustion belt and my gasket tank and blah, 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 I'm like, friend, I don't know.
TMI.
But if he says to me, Erika, if you don't put gas your car in time, you're going to mess up the fuel pump. So you got to put the gas in to make sure you don't mess up your fuel pump. I got all of that. I was like, oh, I should probably not let my car go E because now I understand that. He had to speak in the language. And I learned something very valuable. I try not to let my car go E, but I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I still do it sometimes, but I still learn to not do that. And so we do that with biblical archaeology in the language of the people so ultimately they get it.
So
Erika.
yeah, if I can piggyback kind of like with what you said about speaking the language of the people. I mean, if you think about it, you know, Jesus himself was multilingual. Like he spoke different languages. Paul himself was multilingual. He spoke Hebrew and Greek. So it's not just the language you learn to speak, but the terminology that you use as well. So when Jesus is talking about, I am the gate, and then I am the good shepherd in the Gospel of John, he's using the language of the people who are in that profession and who understand that terminology of that profession. So it's really that's what we try to convey, you know, is Jesus, when he's using certain terminology and he's talking about being the bread of life, the light of the world, you know, the resurrection and the life, he speaks to those who, that's what their occupation basically is. They know that terminology because that's the occupation they have and stuff that they use in their occupation. I think Rachel, and we've answered, let's see, I'm going to look at the chat over here as well. Rachel's already asked her question about the graphic design background question. We've already
the example of living water.
Yeah, but now it's living water. Yeah, living water. Like when he says that to the Samaritan woman, he's literally at the well talking about living water, and people knew what living water was. You know, constant running water.
Right.
And so she would know that. She would know that terminology. And
I think,
go ahead.
I think what you guys are doing at the Bible History Center, I think you guys are doing that though. You have all these outlets and you're creating these space for people to interact, because sometimes people need that interaction. For sure they can see my video, but interacting with those artifacts and different things and not just like looking at them. From what I saw, you guys do like real engaging that can help people really put a feel to it. If you say put a feel to that, and that's essential. That's essential, but everybody's not.
Well, what we do, we have a lot of interactive stuff. We do it. So we actually have, and you would love this, Erika, we have a kids dig site. We have four mock excavation units. And on the wall is strata, the layers, and it tells you each layer and educates you about strata. And we actually talk about with the kids, you know, about what archaeology is, how you can date a site, all that good stuff. And but you guys are
in Georgia?
Yep, LaGrange, Georgia. That's where we're located, is LaGrange, Georgia.
I don't know if any other place doing what you guys are doing. I don't have a place. So because I know where you're at, I will always send people like, you should go to the Bible History Museum Center.
I mean, if you and
but I'm saying I don't have that luxury here in Texas. I don't have that because people are not putting in that work to make sure the public has it. They're keeping it in scholarly circles. They're keeping it in tight-knit. This information is just for us circles, which is insane. You know, I tell people about my journey. I had no idea this world existed, and I've been alive for many moons, y'all. I mean, many moons, and had no idea for many moons that such a thing existed, that this was an option. No idea whatsoever.
What a gift. Sad. What a gift that the Lord showed it to you and you delved right in and you're swimming in the deep end. That's really cool.
It was all the Lord. So it was not Erika. And the Lord used Google. He uses whatever, right?
Amen.
So,
yes.
but
Erika, you're not far. LaGrange. I mean, you're how far are you from like where are you in Texas again? Is it Fort Hood or where are you?
I'm actually in Dallas, well, Dallas Fort Worth,
Oh,
Arlington, Texas,
okay.
but
Gotcha. Okay. That's a little long of a car ride, but it's
it
an easy
is, it is.
easy flight to Atlanta
Yeah, yeah. No, we've
for a
got
family
family.
trip.
Well, we've got family in Georgia, so that's why I knew about the drive. We drive outside of Augusta. We had family there, but
Yeah.
no, I love what you guys are doing. And again, I know unless it's come to me, and even then, until M hit me up, I wouldn't have known about you guys. So again,
There
it's
we
a
go. Scott put some information in the text. There's like straight across 20. You can't miss it. Can't go right until you hit it. There you go. And then
if
down to LaGrange.
if I make the drive again, I don't know if I can do that long drive. That's a long drive.
Oh,
But definitely, if you are ever with your family in Georgia, definitely drop by. We would love to have you here. We have self-guided tours that you can do where we give you a booklet that explains everything and you tour the facility at your own leisure. We have guided tours where you can have a docent take you all throughout the facility and explain everything. We have artifacts on here from Israel, over 258 of them.
That's
And
before they said we couldn't do that no more. Y'all got those before?
before the
Before they
events,
said we couldn't bring stuff, before we said we couldn't bring stuff
the
back in?
artifacts gallery's been here since 2013.
Okay, okay.
Yes. Yes. So,
And
but
they're
you can see those, and those are on,
yeah.
we renewed
Yes,
the
what-
contract, I think, for another 10 years.
right. We get them. The Israel Antiquities Authority actually has sent them to us.
Oh, that's
Long-term loan,
awesome.
It's
long-term
only 8
loan.
museums in the world who have that.
That is awesome. I didn't even know they did that. Okay, that's awesome. I didn't know.
And it's
How
really
many-
neat
how many
because that
museums?
particular gallery is climate controlled. So they're taken care of under great security. But it's
Yeah.
amazing to see these behind the glass and just go, wow, look what's
Yeah.
they've been entrusted to us. Yes, yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's so wonderful.
Yeah.
So
Erica,
yeah,
if I could
yeah,
follow
definitely.
you,
Oh, go
you're
ahead,
on
Brenda, I'm
Facebook.
sorry.
Sorry, you're on Facebook. Would I just look up your name, Erika Brown, or do you go by like something to the public? I want to let the public know. How would we find you? How do I find you on Facebook or and YouTube? What do I look for?
Got my QR code. I just put it back on the screen. But
Okay.
I can put the link around because I think Justin Bieber has a song, Just So You Know. So you have to put my name in. Just one of the babies has a song. I
Okay.
learned that.
Hey, Erica,
I did not know that.
Hey, Erica, I'm actually taking care of that for you.
Okay.
In the
Okay.
chat, I'm actually putting the link to Erica's YouTube. So y'all can go to her YouTube page, give her a like, give her a follow, subscribe to it. It's phenomenal.
Definitely.
It's a phenomenal channel. Like I said, she literally takes these archaeological concepts, these or even certain artifacts, and she literally breaks it down to where the public can understand it. I'm literally about to post that in the chat. And Rachel said that she has just now liked her Erica's Facebook page. So thank you very much, Rachel, for that. And then I have just now put the link to Erica's YouTube in the chat. Before we end the recording and before we all depart for the evening, does anyone have any last questions for Erika?
This has been a lot of fun.
All right, Jazz Burke says, it's been an incredible lecture and discussion. I will definitely be following as well. So thank you, Jazz. Thank you, Rachel, for the follows on social media. Like I said, everybody, look Erika up on YouTube. It's Just So You Know by E.R. Brown. And I've also put the link, like I said before, in the group chat. Erika, number one, it's been awesome to reconnect with you ever since I've graduated. When I saw this pop up on my social media, I was like, I know this chick, so I already know this is going to be good. And so when I saw your channel and I saw what you were doing, I'm like, I have to get her here for a virtual lecture to see
Yeah.
how she's reaching the public. And
Yeah.
I'm so thankful we were able to have you here.
No, I loved it. It was such an honor. Y'all know, so I could talk about
Thank-
it all day. I have to like really tone it down because I could go.
You got to come visit, girl.
You do.
Definitely. Once if I get back on that,
We'll be here.
We will.
This has been such a delight. Thank you so much.
All right, everybody. Well, I guess we are all going to depart for the evening. Like I said, just one more time, please give her a like, follow, subscribe on all of her social media accounts. The link is there in the group chat. I'm going to go on ahead and stop the recording, and also we are going to depart for the evening. So Erika, once again, thank you so incredibly much for doing what you do and for coming on and telling us how you're doing it. We are so thankful that there are more academics like you who are literally taking to social media and meeting people where they are.
Yeah.
So this is a ministry in and of itself, as well as academic endeavor.
all right, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate y'all.
All right. Y'all have a great
Thank
night,
you.
everybody. Thank you so much. See y'all till next time.
Bye-bye.